You know, every single time you browse the web, there's this secret cat and mouse game playing out in the background. And the prize? It's your privacy. The cat in this game is an entity that sees pretty much every single website you visit. So, who is this hidden watcher? Let's get into it.
So let's just kick things off with a question. I want you to really think about this. Beyond the obvious stuff, like your browser history, who has a complete log of your entire digital life? From the news sites you check in the morning to that late night online shopping, who sees it all?
That's right, it's your internet service provider. The very company you pay every month for internet access is, well, in the perfect position to watch every single move you make online. So how exactly do they do it? And more importantly, what can you do about it?
Okay, to really get how your ISP tracks you, we need to talk about something called the domain name system, or DNS. The easiest way to think about it is like the internet's phone book. It's absolutely essential for how the web works, but it's also the main tool they use to keep tabs on you.
It's actually pretty simple. See, computers don't really understand names like coderarmy.in. They speak in numbers, specifically IP addresses. So when you type in a web address, your computer has to ask a DNS server, hey, what's the number for this website? The server looks it up, sends the number back, and then you connect. This whole thing happens in milliseconds, every single time.
So here's the crucial part, the real kicker. Who provides that phone book, that DNS server? Well, by default, it's your ISP. The moment you connect to the internet, they automatically point you to their DNS servers. And that means every time you ask for a website's IP address, you're asking them directly. And of course, they can just log that request. It's that easy for them.
All right, so now we get to the game. The first move to take back a little bit of that privacy is actually a really simple one. If you don't want your ISP to be your phone book operator, you can just pick a new one. So, instead of using your ISP's default DNS, you can go into your device's settings and manually switch to a public DNS server. You've probably heard of them. Cloudflare has one at 1.1.1.1. Google has one at 8.8.8.8. Now, when your computer needs to look up a website, the request goes to Cloudflare or Google, not your ISP. Problem solved, right? Well, not so fast. This is where the game gets way more interesting. Because even though you've rerouted your request, your ISP can still see what you're up to. There's a really big flaw in this first escape plan. So what's the problem? Think of it this way. Your DNS request is sent through the internet like an open postcard. It has to travel through the postal system, which is your ISP's network, to get where it's going. And it's not sealed in an envelope.
Let me break that down. Even though you've addressed your postcard to a different post office, say Google's DNS, your local mail carrier, your ISP, still has to handle it to get it there. And because the website you want is written right there in plain text, they can just take a quick peek and see exactly where you're asking to go. The message just isn't encrypted.
So, how do you finally seal that postcard? Well, you need a secret handshake. And this is our countermove, a technology called DNS over HTTPS, or DOH for short. And it's all about encryption. Now, to get how DOH works, you need to understand something called public and private keys. Here's a great analogy. A DNS server, like Cloudflare, has a public padlock. They can give copies of this padlock to absolutely everyone, but they keep the one and only private key that can open that specific padlock all to themselves. This is basically the foundation of all secure communication online. So here's how that secret handshake plays out. First, your browser says, hey, can I have your public padlock? Then, your browser creates a brand new one-time secret key, puts it inside a little box, and snaps that padlock shut. It sends the locked box on its way. Now, your ISP sees this box go by, but they can't open it. Only the DNS server, with its matching private key, can unlock it. And now, you and the server share a secret that nobody else knows. And the result is a totally secure encrypted tunnel. From that moment on, all your DNS requests are scrambled before they even leave your computer. Your ISP might see the traffic, but to them, it's just garbled nonsense. They have absolutely no idea what websites you're asking for. It really seems like checkmate, doesn't it? But there's one last twist.
So now we get to the final and honestly the most clever move in this whole privacy game. Because even with all this fancy encryption, there's one last piece of information that seems like it would be impossible to hide.
This leads to a really obvious question, right? Okay, your DNS request is hidden. Great. But once you get the IP address back, your computer still has to actually connect to it. And since your ISP handles all your connections, can't they just see the destination IP address and know exactly where you're going anyway?
And the answer is yes, they can see the IP address. But, and this is the brilliant part, that doesn't tell them nearly as much as you'd think. The very way the modern internet is built provides the final perfect layer of camouflage. I want you to think of a single IP address, not as a single house, but as a giant apartment building. Big services like Cloudflare host thousands, sometimes tens of thousands, of different websites on the exact same IP address. So when your ISP sees you connect to that IP, all they know is which building you walked into. They have no idea which apartment, which specific website you're visiting.
This really sums it up perfectly. You are, for all intents and purposes, hidden in a massive crowd of thousands of other potential destinations. Your ISP sees you walk into the building, but the specific room you're going to, that's a total mystery to them.
And here's the final nail in the coffin for their tracking. Modern web security also encrypts the message you send to the building's front desk when you ask for a specific room. So not only does your ISP not know which room you end up in, they can't even eavesdrop as you're asking for directions in the lobby. Your visit is truly private from them.
So, as it turns out, real online privacy isn't really about becoming an invisible ghost. It's about using these layers of encryption and the smart architecture of the modern web to become just another anonymous face in a very, very big crowd. It's something to think about the next time you open up a new tab.